Well, I want to welcome everybody to Chemistry 108. We're going to introduce you to the course today, go over a few things, show you how to use your Canvas shell a little bit, and go around and have some introductions, that kind of thing. So just so that everybody knows, I am recording this. So when you ask questions, please speak up so that we capture your questions, so that anybody who might be ill and not be able to make it today or whatever the case may be, they can go back and watch it later. They will be posted on my YouTube channel, and there will be a link in the module in Canvas for the day that the lecture occurred. So those will typically be posted no later than the day after class. It just depends on how time goes for me. I don't do a lot of fancy editing with them. I just capture it, cut a few things, and post it. So it will be available to you. I'm Dr. Doug Masterson. I'll be your instructor for Chemistry 108 this semester. I am an organic chemist by training. I've been here since 2004, and I also currently serve as the Senior Associate Provost for Institutional Effectiveness. So while I have a laboratory in this building and I do have an academic office in this building, you will probably only see me in this building when we're having class. Most of the time I'm in the International Center, Suite 517. So the International Center is the tall building between the Baptist Student Union and the Liberal Arts Building. So if you all know where that is, you'll know where I am, and you can find me there. My email address is there. Probably easiest just to email through Canvas, do that kind of thing. But so douglas.masterson@usm.edu. And then there's my direct line to my office, 64714. So if you're on campus and you want to give a call for something, then that's okay. So what I thought we would do is we'd take a moment, introduce ourselves. I need to know who you are, and you all need to know who each other are, right? So you're all chemistry or biochemistry majors at this point, and it's good to start making those connections early on. So what I'd like you all to do is just tell me your name. First name's okay for today, and which major you are. We'll start here.
My name's Abby, and my major's in biochemistry.
I'm Sam, major is also biochemistry.
Okay.
I'm Taylor, my major is also biochemistry.
Okay.
My name's Maya, it's also biochemistry.
Yeah.
My name's Tia, and mine is also biochemistry.
Okay.
My name's Andrew, and my major is chemistry.
Okay. Good deal.
My name is Dania, and my major is biochemistry.
Did you say Daniel?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm Emily, and mine's biochem.
Okay.
I'm Katie, I'm biochem.
I'm Harrison, I'm biochem pre-med.
Pre-med. Okay.
I'm Ben, and I'm just chemistry.
Nothing wrong with that. So am I.
Braden, my major is chemistry.
My major is also chemistry.
I didn't hear you.
All of
Autumn.
My name is Joseph, I'm biochemistry.
Joseph?
My name is Morgan, and I'm going chemistry.
Okay, great.
My name's Danny, and I'm in chemistry.
And you were the one that asked about 108, right? I thought you were asking about the room. I apologize for that. There's a
Hey, I'm Michael, and I'm also biochemistry.
okay. And you are?
I'm Caleb, biochemistry.
Okay, welcome. Welcome. So I just have to, be honest with you all. I will remember your face. I probably won't remember your name. Okay, it's just, I'm terrible at it. But I'm going to try. I'm going to try to remember your names as best I can. So if you happen to come, cross by me on campus somewhere, like if I'm eating at the Fresh, I eat at the Fresh a couple times a week. Don't be afraid to come up and say hey. I'll remember your face, but I'll probably have to ask you, now, what was your name again? But don't be offended by that, please. It's just the way I am. It's just the way I was wired. So I do have difficulties remembering names, but not faces. So anyway, that's it with the introductions for today. You all do have a syllabus in front of you. It's also in Canvas. We'll go through Canvas in just a moment. Okay. The course description, if you looked in the bulletin, right, this is the Introduction to Higher Education for Students in Chemistry and Biochemistry. including the use of university resources for academic success, resume development, of course there should be an emphasis there, and some career strategies, okay? I know at least one of you said pre-med, right? Most people who major in chemistry think they want to go to medical school, right? And that can change over time. And I see it happen all the time. People come here, they want to go, they want to be a doctor, they choose chemistry or biochemistry or biology or whatever their major is, and things change along the way. The nice thing about chemistry is chemistry has an option, many options for you all for career, and we'll cover a lot of those career type conversations during the semester. I want you to be aware that not all chemists sit in a lab with a white lab coat and do chemistry like I do. I don't even do that anymore, right? I mean, so there are a lot of job opportunities out there for somebody that's got a degree in chemistry or biochemistry. And so, you know, if you change your mind along the way, you have many options while you remain a chemistry major. So we will bring in a variety of folks throughout the semester to talk to you about various things, some of them having to do with careers, okay? So there are a couple of objectives that I have for this course that you can see in the syllabus, okay? When you leave this course, I want you to understand the impact that the chemical sciences have on modern society. You already probably have an idea of that, okay? But I really want you to understand that the modern way of life that we have is responsible because of STEM. Okay, so science, technology, engineering, mathematics. It is our modern way of life, okay? And chemistry is the central science in all of that, okay? It's very difficult to do anything today without a chemist at some point along the chain having been involved in something. I also want you to leave with an understanding about learning strategies, how you can use those to master course material, okay? Chemistry is not a subject that most people can just read and then perform. There's a lot of skills that have to be developed in chemistry, okay? And study skills is one of them, not just laboratory skills, but study skills. And we'll talk about ways in which you can develop good learning strategies to be effective in this particular major. We're going to talk and hope you end up with an understanding on this, again, the scope of career options. We are going to hopefully you will leave with an understanding of how to utilize university resources to enhance your success. What you pay for to be at the University of Southern Mississippi isn't just about paying my salary and being in this class. You have lots and lots of resources available to you, and I want to help you understand what those resources are, get you involved in utilizing those resources, and to understand that going to use these resources is not cheating. Right? We have a speaking and a writing center to help you write and speak better. Okay? I'll be honest with you. I've used myself the speaking center. When I'm getting ready to go to a conference and give a big talk, I have in the past gone to the speaking center, used their resources to practice my talk before I go. These are resources that are available to you to make things, to help you learn, to enhance your learning opportunity, right? Most of what you will learn at the University of Southern Mississippi will not occur in this classroom or any classroom, okay? A lot of what you will learn will happen actually outside of a traditional lecture classroom. So I want to help you get involved in that during the semester as well. There will be at least 4 products that you will leave with out of this class. The first will be a curriculum vitae or a resume. Right? Yours will be short enough at this point, probably we'll just call it a resume. But you are on your first step towards your professional career today. Actually Monday, right? So part of whatever you're doing for the degree is going to get you to where you want to be. And you need to start recording a lot of these things that you're doing on your CV or resume, because I guarantee you, if you wait till you're a senior, you will forget a lot of the important things that you've done, things that you've accomplished while you were in college that could help you land that job or get that scholarship or get into medical school or get into whatever it is you're trying to do, okay? Graduate school, whatever the case may be. You will also leave with an individualized semester by semester guide. If you go into the bulletin, you will see that chemistry and biochemistry each have a semester by semester guide. The problem with those are they're idealized. They assume that you come in and day one you're starting in Calculus 1. That's not true for a lot of people, okay? And that's okay. And so if you come in and you're ready to jump into Cal 2, everything all of a sudden is off. If you come in and you have to take trig, everything is off. So what we want you to do is build your own semester by semester guide. It'll be a product that you will actually leave and take to your first advising session in October. Okay, we'll have this assignment, you'll develop your own semester by semester guide, and we will have a class period probably next week, actually. I haven't quite decided on the schedule, but probably next week we'll start with the individualized semester by semester guide discussion, okay? You're going to leave with an inventory of your personalized learning strategies. Each and every one of us find different things more comfortable in our learning. Okay, we all learn a little differently. But chemistry is one of those disciplines where you're not just going to be dealing with facts and figures. You're going to have to know how to see things in 3 dimensions. You're going to have to know how to handle complex pathways, especially in biochemistry. Okay? And so it's not just a matter of going in, learning a bunch of facts, and then regurgitating them on an exam. You're going to have to figure out how to synthesize information and solve more complex problems, especially as you move up in the curriculum. That's just the way it is for chemistry. And then we're going to have some discussion on professional web presence. I am very, very thankful each and every day that I was born at a time that we didn't have the internet. Because the things that would have probably ended up on my web presence probably would have gotten me in a lot of trouble back when I was a teenager, okay? You all are living in an age where everything that you post, for the most part, can be found by somebody. And I can tell you right now that when you go for a job interview or you go for that med school interview, somebody will be Googling you. If you put it out there, it is fair game, okay? And so starting today, you really need to be thinking about your professional web presence, okay? It doesn't mean you can't have a little fun. It doesn't mean you can't post some things about but you need to be sensible about it, okay? Think about it. I always say, think about it. Is this something you'd want your grandma to put on the refrigerator? If the answer to that is no, you should pause and think about, should I post it? Okay? So always kind of keep that in mind. We'll talk about professional web presence later on in the semester. But these are the things, the objectives that I hope you leave with, the products that you actually leave with, develop and produce during the semester. And I think if we can accomplish this, I think you'll be on to a great start for your college career. Everybody always wants to know, how's the grading going to be in this class? Good news is there are no exams in this class. You don't have to cram before the exam for anything for us, okay? There are assignments, there are things that you have to do. There are points that are going to be assigned to things. The class is worth a total of 835 points. Okay, attendance is very important. Okay, I'm going to take 13 attendance grades. Today will be the first attendance grade that you get. Okay, so that's going to be a total of 260 points. So a good chunk of everything that you get out of these 835 points can come simply from attending. Okay, attend and participate, you're going to do pretty good. We're going to have a notebook, and by notebook, there's notebook assignments in Canvas that will be posted, and we'll talk a little bit about those. That's worth 200 points. Your CV resume assignment is going to be worth 100 points. Your semester by semester guide assignment is going to be worth 100 points. Again, I want you to be involved in things across campus, so activities participation is going to be worth 100 points. Okay, we'll talk a little bit more about that later. The study tips assignment, which you already have, it's already been in Canvas, right? I gave you that list of study tips. That's worth 25 points. That's due here pretty soon. And then there'll be a learning strategies assignment that'll also be worth 50 points. So the take-home message here is if you do your work, turn it in complete, you're going to get most of the points, okay? Where do people get in trouble in this class? They get in trouble on the semester by semester assignment, wait until the night before to try to do it and realizing that it takes more work than they thought, okay? And then they turn it in incomplete and I only give them half credit. That's a big one. So don't wait till the night before, okay? And then also, believe it or not, people just not wanting to go and participate in any activities. Last couple of years with COVID, I kind of understood it, right? But we're kind of beyond that period now a little bit. We're trying to get back to normal. So activities participation will be important as well. Activities participation, morning. There's a syllabus for you right there, if you'll just pick one up. Activities participation are things, just to get you involved in campus to see what's available. So a big one that a lot of people do will be to participate in a meeting of the American Chemical Society student affiliates. Okay, and we'll have a representative come here and talk about that in the next week or so. Come and talk to you about joining the ACS student affiliates. That's a group of your peers. They get together, they do a lot of outreach. It's a great thing to put on your medical school applications, right? Being involved in outreach in the community. They do a lot of that kind of stuff. And it's a group of chemists and biochemists and some polymer science folks getting together to do things. So it's a good organization. A lot of people do that. A lot of people will go to a dance or a theater production. We'll go to a concert on campus. That will count. The only thing that I typically don't count for activities participation, it can't be a fraternity or sorority party, okay? And it can't be a requirement of another class. So if you're in the honors college and you're doing honors forum is part of the honors program. It's not an additional. So really what we're looking for here is a lanyap experience, something a little extra, okay? So not something that's required of another course. So I've had people go to, we have talks that come in and speak over at Bennett Auditorium. That certainly counts. So if you have any questions about what might count as an activities participation, please contact me and I'll let you know about that. But I'll post more about activities in the near future. Okay? So if y'all look in the syllabus, right? The syllabus is actually available in Canvas, but I gave you a paper copy as well. What you're going to see is this note. So all the required reading and viewing materials for each day that we meet will be in a Canvas module, okay? And that Canvas module will be available to you by 5 p.m. on Monday before the class meets, okay? So even on Labor Day, I will have everything in by 5 p.m. on that Monday before class meets, which will give you the next Tuesday, right, Tuesday after Monday, to review everything before you come to class Wednesday morning. I do expect that everything that's in that module for that day be viewed, read, or otherwise looked at, however the case may be, prior to you coming to class. I assume that you've looked at the material, okay? I am not going to overburden you with a bunch of reading. They're going to be small reading assignments, okay? So you've got plenty of other classes that are going to require you to do a lot of reading. This doesn't need to be one of them, okay? So what you'll see, you'll be able to find the module. So what's in parentheses here is the Canvas module. So for next week, you'll go in and you'll find August 31st by 5 p.m. on Monday. That'll be all available, what I want for that day on August the 31st, and that's the way it'll go. Okay, so you can see your last day to drop is August the 29th to get a refund if you want to change or whatever may happen. Obviously the 5th, that's Labor Day, there are no classes. October 10th is about the date that we do approximate interim grades, and so make sure you look for your interim grades for all of your classes by around that date. So let's talk a little bit about the notebook. I call these notebook assignments because I used to really require people to go buy a composition book, keep track of it, and then, of course, COVID hit, so we just moved it into Canvas, and we've kept it there ever since. So the purpose of keeping a notebook for this course is really more of a self-reflection. I will give you prompts and ask you to write about those prompts in the notebook, okay? And it encourages you to think about your thinking, which is called metacognition. So thinking about thinking, I know that sounds a little weird, right? But students who do really well in anything have good metacognition skills. They think about how they think about things. They find ways to improve their thinking. Some people just call it study strategy or study habits. But metacognition turns out to be one of the biggest predictors of success in college, right? So if you self-reflect about what it is that you're doing, usually you have better outcomes. Now in other classes, what might that look like? Obviously in other classes, you're probably not keeping a notebook, but you're going to take a Gen Chem class or an organic class, wherever you're placed at the moment. You're going to get your first test back, right? You need to sit and look at that test and those scores and think about how you did. You need to review that kind of material, okay? That's part of this, and you need to reflect on a lot of things. And so this is about getting you into the habit about thinking about your thinking. And I know that sounds a little strange, but it does work, believe me, okay? There are some rules to the notebook. Again, you'll receive a prompt. It's approximately going to be one notebook assignment per week. I've already posted the first notebook assignment, which is due on Friday. Okay, so make sure you pay attention to the due dates and the due times. I make everything due by 5 p.m. Okay, so, but I give you plenty of time. That doesn't mean you have to, just work on it starting at 4, right? You can start working on it this afternoon. But that notebook assignment, you're going to have about one per week. I'm going to ask you to write clearly. Your grade does depend on the clarity of your writing, okay? I am not going to go through and be a grammar police person, okay? But it has to make sense. It can't be ramblings, okay? It has to be centered around a theme, those types of things. Your entry should be somewhere around 100 words in length. If it's less than 100 words, you're probably not thinking deeply enough about it, okay? So somewhere around 100 words is what you're going to be doing on these reflections. A good sized paragraph is what I like to say. So what impacts the grade here? If I can't make any sense out of what you're doing, that usually gets you no credit. If it's properly lengthed and I can kind of make sense of it, it's going to be full credit. If it's, it makes sense, but it's really brief, that's usually half credit, okay? So that kind of gives you an idea of how that works. Now, am I going to sit there and count out 99, 100? No, but I know about how big 100 words is, right? So if you're at 25 words, that's a difference. If you're at 90, 110, that's about what I'm looking for, okay? And different prompts will require more or less writing. I mean, it just depends on the topic of the day, right? Any questions about any of that? Okay. So from today's readings and stuff, right? You had the study tips for chemistry from Charles Labirco, and he wrote that back in the late 90s. I found it on the internet. I actually reached out to him and said, can I steal that and use that in my classes? And he said, sure. And I can only imagine that he wrote that late one night after grading some chemistry exams, right? And that study tips guide, students that have followed that have done fairly well, okay? Now, there's going to be tips in there that you more or less will gravitate toward. There'll be things that fit your style a little better than others. So, I mean, I'm not asking you to do everything within that study tips guide, but if you use that right now in your chemistry classes and other classes, I guarantee you your outcome will be better, okay? Thinking about the material, working the problems, practicing. Chemistry is about practicing, okay? I see some pride shirts, right? You don't go and play the piece without having practice. You practice, you practice, you practice. You need to have muscle memory about how these work. If you play sports, you all know about that. You practice. You practice in a way in how you want to perform, right? You don't go out and just halfway practice, right? You practice how you want to perform, and that's the only way you're going to get better at anything. The only way to get to Carnegie Hall is to practice, 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 and the only way to get through a chemistry degree or any other degree on campus is to practice, okay, to become an expert in the field. And the only way to do that is to work problems and work exams and read the material and study properly, okay? You also saw the growth mindset video. I'm not going to show the mindset video again. I'm a big believer in mindset. I do not believe that just going, oh, I have a growth mindset, will get you anywhere, okay? But if you think about your mindset, if you do that metacognition, if you realize that there are times when we all can have that fixed mindset and actively try to change your mindset, you will do better. If you believe you can do it, you have a better chance of being able to do it than if you believe you don't. Okay? So, fixed mindset, folks, people believe that failure is the limit of your abilities. If you find yourself saying, oh, I'm not good at that, you probably, at least for that topic, have a fixed mindset. You are not born with a fixed mindset. You are not born with a growth mindset. These are things that you can develop. Okay? If, however, you see a failure as an opportunity to grow, you have a growth mindset about that topic. Okay? When you work problems, practice problems for chemistry, and you work the problem and then you check the answer and you go, why didn't I get that wrong? If you get frustrated and you just want to throw it away, that's the fixed mindset part of you coming out. What you want to do is you want to look at that and go, what is it about this problem that I'm struggling with? How can I solve this problem? Then you're on the growth mindset. So you need to be challenged. College is about challenging you, because when you leave college, you're going to be either in the workforce or graduate school or medical school, and you're really going to be challenged. Your bosses at any job that you get are going to want you to be able to perform. I hire people at the institution. I don't hire people that need me to tell them everything that they need to do. If I had to do that, I would just do it myself, right? You need to have people who are willing to look at challenges and grow and learn how to do things and take constructive feedback and all that. So we always look for growth mindset individuals, not so much the fixed mindset. And again, the good news is there's no such thing as I was born with a fixed mindset. I was born with a growth mindset. Your mindset is what you want it to be, okay? So that's it for the presentation today. I want to go into Canvas now real quick. Spend a little time there. Let's go to student view so it'll look a little more like what yours should look like. Okay. So again, when you log in, right, on the home page, you're going to see the modules. And what you'll see is the syllabus. So you can download a copy of the syllabus. There's also a link to syllabus here, which will just put it in the browser so you can look at that if you want to. And then you'll have the different modules. Okay, so you'll see that I've already posted a module for August the 31st, but it doesn't have anything in it yet. Okay, so even if you clicked on it, it would be absent. So right now you can go to that study tips document, right, and you can read through it. And as we go through that, you can see one of the very first things he talked about was writing everything out. Writing is a very important skill to have, and there's something different about this versus this. Okay? I do a lot of this too. But when you physically write out things on a sheet of paper, I don't know what it is, but there is something different about it, and it sticks a little bit better. And in chemistry, you guys are going to be dealing with things that on the keyboard just don't work as well. Right? You're going to be drawing structures. You're going to be writing out chemical formulas. It's a lot easier just to write it out than to try to type it out and figure out how to do that using a computer program on your computer or tablet. Okay? So again, it's very, very important to write stuff. Okay? Practicing regularly. He said practice daily. Okay? I'm just going to tell you to practice regularly. Okay? Now, if all you ever do is just the assigned problems, that's a good start. but typically you probably need to do a little bit more than that, okay? Especially if you find that some of the assigned problems you're missing or not getting correct. So let's say you're in your general chemistry class and there's one type of problem that you've worked once and you've worked it again and it just seems to you not be able to get the right answer. You probably need to find 2 or 3 more problems after you get the right answer to that one that are similar to that one to work on, because there's something about that just hasn't quite clicked yet, okay? It is very important that when you're practicing, we find that several shorter practices spread out over time are much more effective than a cram before the exam. Each and every one of you probably believe that cram before the exam works. It really doesn't. It's not bad for short term, But here's the thing about chemistry. The exam that you take, your first exam in general chemistry, the material that you cover for that first exam will also be important on the second exam, the third exam, the first exam in Chemistry 107, the first exam in organic chemistry, the first exam in biochemistry. This is a discipline that builds upon itself. We will give you a foundation and then we will layer it on. There are some majors on campus where you take these 2 courses and then select however many electives you want. It is a curriculum, it is thought out, but it is not a layered curriculum like the sciences are, okay? And so the sciences, I don't care whether it's chemistry, biochemistry, physics, math, biology, polymer science, they are all layered and prerequisited, if you will, okay? For a reason. You've got to know some fundamentals before you get into organic chemistry. You've got to know a little organic chemistry before you get into biochemistry. You got to know a little analytical before you get into PChem, okay? So you're going to figure this out as you develop your semester by semester guide. You're really going to learn how this curriculum is integrated and layered. And that's part of why I want you to build your own semester by semester guide. And we'll talk about that more later, as I said, okay? So practicing regularly, do your best work. I consider that to be kind of a no-brainer. But think about it. If you go out on the practice field or in the studio or whatever it is that you're doing, and you go in and you only practice half-heartedly, it's not helping you perform any better. When you sit down to work those practice problems or those homework problems, think of it as this is like an exam. I'm going to sit down and do my best work, okay? Always with your first try on things. Okay, think about the material all the time. That's the one that the students usually don't like to hear. Okay? And I don't mean every minute of the day, right? But I mean, you've got to think about your chemistry work or whatever subject it is more than just when you're in class. If you're in class Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and all you do is think about that work on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday during class time, you're not putting in enough time, okay? So the rule of thumb, actually it's the federal definition of a credit hour. A credit hour, so if you're in a 1 credit hour class, the expectation is that you spend the hour in that class plus 2 hours of outside work. That's why 12 credit hours at the institution is considered full-time. Because 12 plus 24 is 36, that's pretty close to a 40-hour week, right? So that's why 12 hours is considered a full-time student, interestingly enough, right? So think about the material regularly, and it's easy to do. Some of your classes you'll be able to make things like flashcards, right? You'll be trying to memorize things like functional groups or equations or whatever the case may be. Just keep those flashcards with you, okay? You're watching television, you're watching your favorite show, a boring commercial comes on, run through a couple of flashcards. It's easy to actually integrate these things into your everyday routine. I also recommend that you learn the material in small chunks. Again, cramming before the exam doesn't really work very well, okay? Small chunk it. When you're practicing or doing homework, 15 to 30 minutes, somewhere around there, and then you need to probably take a break, okay? If you're going to sit down and say, I'm going to study this for the next 4 hours, you're going to remember about the first 15 minutes. You might remember maybe the last 15 minutes and everything in between is a blur, okay? So that's good. Always make sure that you concentrate on the work. Don't worry about the grade in your classes. That's the hardest thing for a lot of students to do. But I can guarantee you, if you do your best work, you turn everything in on time, the grade will take care of itself. If all you do is go in worrying about your grade and not about your work, not going to work out too well for you, okay? Make sure you prepare for class. Take an active part in class. If you think about what you're paying in tuition, and you think about, or you or somebody is paying in tuition, right? You all are paying about $50 for every class hour to be in class. I don't know too many people, especially students, that make $50 an hour. Okay? So you're paying $50 to be in this class every week. You're paying $50 times 3 to be in a 3-hour class every week. Okay? You need to get a full $50 worth of value out of that hour that you're sitting there. Think about it as you've paid to get a product, right? You wouldn't pay a lot of money not to get what you paid for, right? I think everybody will agree with that. So higher ed isn't cheap. It isn't free. I mean, even if you're not paying for it, somebody's paying for it, right? And it's about $50 an hour, more or less, okay? So I have had students in the past, not in this class, but when I was teaching organic, can't come to your class, I gotta go to work. And I would tell them, so you're gonna pay me $50, or the institution $50, to not come to class and go work at your $8 or $9 an hour job. Yeah. That arithmetic doesn't add up. If that's how you manage your finances, that's bad management of your finances, right? You will not be in a good place if that's how you manage your income and your stuff. So make sure. I mean, many people have to work. I had to work when I was in college. I was not born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I had to work my way through college. I worked in a laboratory. I did work study. I know what it's like. Okay, I know what you have to do to make it through. But I can tell you, you've got to make that commitment to make sure that your job and your outside commitments are compatible with your education goals. Talk to your boss. Make sure your schedule is compatible. Okay? So keep that in mind. Make sure you're taking an active part in class. We will have things in this class where I expect you to participate with other classmates. Okay? And the only way that you're going to get anything out of that is to be here. Very important to reread material. This isn't Harry Potter. This isn't the Twilight Saga. It's not light reading. You're going to be reading very technical stuff in your degree. Okay? Some people are going to be better at reading it than others, but I can guarantee you, even those who are very competent at reading it, just reading through it once will not be sufficient. Okay? I still have books in my office. I still have to go refer to them. Just rereading that material all of the time. Okay? So, again, very important to think about all of your texts. Make sure you have the books. Keep them with you. Most of you are probably participating in that first day program, probably, right? Where everything's available to you electronically, and it's in your Canvas shell. So you should have access to all of your materials as long as you have internet access most of the time. Okay? Rest of it I'll let you kind of read through. But again, I'll talk about this one. Study offensively rather than defensively. What do we mean by that? What does that mean?
Study with the intent to actually learn the material rather than just memorizing it.
Okay, that's a good one. Anything else?
Like really take action with it, don't wait until the last minute, like pace it out like you were saying, and like really learn the information.
Okay, anything else? Those are good? That's right, yeah, that's another good one. Very good, okay? I read this and I say, there's two ways you can study, right? According to this, you can study offensively or defensively. What happens? So if you start off today studying and developing good study habits, that's going to be offensive studying. You're working towards a goal. Defensive is going to be, oh, well, there's a party tonight, there's this, that, or the other. Midterms all of a sudden come around, you get your interim grades and you're not exactly where you want to be, right? And then you start studying to make up that that difference, that deficit, that's defensive. And that's tough. It's tough to catch back up. Okay? Many of your classes, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but many of your classes, your grades will be based on very few things. So if if you're in a class that's it's 2 exams in the final, if you don't do very well on one of those exams, you've put yourself in a hole that's hard to climb out of, right? So you don't want to be in a defensive position where you have to climb out of that point deficit. Okay, so think about that as you develop your own study strategy. And of course, check your answers. That goes without saying. Believe it or not, a lot of students won't. They'll work problems and never use the resources that they have to check whether or not the answer is correct. Relax on the test. I don't know anybody who doesn't have test anxiety. Okay? But try to relax as best you can. If you have prepared properly for that exam, you shouldn't have any worries in the world. Okay? That doesn't mean that the instructor's not going to throw a curveball question or something like that. It's going to happen, right? You can't anticipate everything, but try to be in a relaxed state. You'll do a lot better. Okay? So we will stop on that one. Again, we had the growth mindset video. If you haven't watched it already, it is available on YouTube. You can watch it. It's a little cheesy. Animated characters, the hare and the tortoise kind of example. But I think it's true. Okay, there is a lot of research out there, especially by Professor Dweck, who's at Stanford, I believe. She's done a lot of work on growth and fixed mindsets. And in fact, she has a lot of good information, and we'll cover some of that during the semester as well. Okay, so I don't expect you to read her books. Her books are pretty thick usually, but we'll take excerpts and we'll look at those as well. We will also have, throughout the semester, readings from Chemical and Engineering News. Okay, so I'm a member of the American Chemical Society. If you're thinking about becoming a professional chemist, I highly recommend you go ahead and join as a student because it's pretty cheap as a student. Join this American Chemical Society Student Affiliates group that we have in the department. But there's a lot of information in here that's not really terribly technical that will give you all a good overview of the field in general, give you an idea of the possibilities. You know, in this one, the cover story was avoiding a huge problem, looking at how we can better recycle wind turbine blades. Okay? Of course, we're trying to move to a more green energy economy. Wind is one of the pieces of that, but nothing's completely green. And in fact, these turbine blades break down and they need to be replaced. Well, what do you do with them? Well, right now we bury them, which isn't very green. We'd like to find a way in which we can recycle them. So there's an entire article on that in here. There are also regularly these topics, they call them C&E in talks with whoever. And this one was with Winnie Chu. And these are kind of profiles that tell you the career trajectory of a particular individual. This is somebody who is an aerosol sensor expert. She got her master's degree in chemistry, her PhD in material science. She did, I think, a postdoctoral work in electrical engineering, did a whole breadth of different things. And now she started this company. What's the name of the company? I can't remember. Anybody remember? Well, doesn't really matter. Oh, there it is. Nanozen. So, making these sensors that detect chemicals in the air, basically. Aerosols are actually very dangerous things. And it was interesting reading this, how she got involved in this area, how she evolved to become a leader in this area, and who's using her technologies that are being developed right now. But if you think about it, if you go into a mine and you're working in a mine, there are fine dust particles. She developed sensors that help do that to protect workers. If you work in a pharmaceutical company, and this was one that I wasn't even really aware of, the drugs that you're manufacturing can actually end up being aerosolized and being in the air. And when you inhale those are active compounds. They're having an impact on your health. Not all medicines are healthy for you to take if you're healthy, right? Some of them can actually be quite toxic, especially anti-cancer drugs. And so being able to detect these in the air so that you can minimize exposure to workers is very, very important. And that's what motivated her to do this, okay? And so her advice for early scientists, this would be you all, right? This is her advice. Focus on specializing in one field, but learn as much as you can from a second field and then build your network that way. Being a scientist means that you don't work in isolation. Today, science really does require collaborations. Your network building right now could start in this classroom. You all introduced yourselves to everybody. Part of that could be developing study groups, trying to decide whether or not you want to do that summer internship somewhere together. You all are starting to build your network now. And the most successful people in any field are highly networked. If I was more networked, I would have made it further in life myself, probably, right? But it's a struggle for us, especially a lot of scientists tend to be a little on the introverted side. It's hard to network. But that's part of the reason why I want you to do some activities on campus. That's part of the reason why I would really like for you all to join the American Chemical Society student affiliates. Start building those networks, those professional networks. You will get involved in undergraduate research at some point. All chemistry and biochemistry majors have to do at least one semester of research. Many of you will do research that is actually publishable, and your faculty member may say, I want you to go to an American Chemical Society. I'm going to pay for your trip to an American Chemical Society meeting to present this work. Those are going to be opportunities for you all to network. And so we have a lot of students that go off and do that kind of stuff all the time. So you will have, at least every week, there will be something from C&E News that will be for your reading. The Nobel Prize will be announced in a few weeks. It's around this time of year. I'll put that in there and we'll talk about the Nobel Prize that was awarded and why it deserved the Nobel Prize. I don't know who's in line for the Nobel this year, but last year it actually was Dave McMillan and Ben List. Dave McMillan is at Princeton University. He's a professor, and they won this on what are called organocatalysts. And I was kind of excited about that because actually part of my research emphasis is in the area of organocatalysis. And while I will never get a Nobel Prize, to know that you're working on something that was Nobel Prize worthy in terms of a topic, kind of exciting, right? And it was also kind of near and dear to me because my oldest daughter is in graduate school at Princeton and actually had a class with David McMillan. So, I mean, you start to make these connections, and it's kind of cool, right? All right, so you'll also see that you have an assignments link, okay? So you'll see that the study tips is due today by 5, okay? So you can go there and you can find what the assignment is, okay? So you need to answer those questions. August 24th attendance, if you click on that. No details were made for this assignment because I'm actually going to hand something out for you all to do here in just a second, and I'm going to take that up. And then you've got notebook reflection 1. Okay? So I tell you here to write a paragraph of approximately 100 words. What you hope to achieve with your chemistry, biochemistry degree, I recommend you write your narrative in Word or another word processor, check all grammatical issues, and then cut and paste into into the, when you start the assignment, you'll get a text box. And then quality of writing is part of your grade. So this is something for you to reflect on. Why is it that you chose chemistry or biochemistry to start off your career with, right? Most of you are probably not going to become practicing chemists or biochemists. So why did you choose this major? What is it that attracted you to this major to fulfill your career goals that you have moving forward? This is an opportunity for me to get to understand and learn a little bit about you. Another thing, too, that I want to mention is twice during the semester we will have one-on-ones. So I will set up a series of dates. You all will pick a time that you will come into my office, and we will sit down for about 15 minutes. We'll get to know one another, okay? I want to know who you are, what it is you're trying to accomplish in your life, that kind of stuff. And so we'll have one that will happen, probably be due in the next month or so. You can start to schedule those as soon as I post that information. Again, it's not going to be long. It's just us to get to know one another a little bit. And then we'll have a second one after midterm, and we'll probably have more of a conversation about how did midterm go, how are things going in your classes, right before you probably go into those advising sessions that you'll have with your advisor. Okay? Any questions about any of this? All right. So I'm going to pass out note card. I want you to put on the note card, I want you to print these, so I can read it. Your name, your ID number, your preferred name and pronouns, if you like. And then on the back, just tell me a little something about yourself. Maybe an activity you're involved with at campus, an organization, something along those lines, just anything. When you're done, you can hand it to me and you're free to go. So, give you a few minutes back.